Hey, good morning, everyone out there. It's Tim from Pride's Corner Farms. I, like you, have gotten to be sort of comfortable with these remote kinds of meetings. Used to be that we used to do a few of these things. Now it seems like it's a way of life, doesn't it? Um, but we're happy to have you here today. We got some great plants to go through in the next few minutes, and hopefully these are things that you know about, can pick up from us, but you're going to get really excited about it as much as we have gotten excited about it. Many of you may be asking, you know, geez, where is he doing this? How come he's not masked up? This is all great questions in the days of COVID-19. I will show you that I do have my mask, but since I'm isolated in my office with the door closed, with no opportunity for outside people coming in, it's uh, it's great. Feel free to go mask free. I'll never know the difference, but hopefully we can have a kind of a good time talking about plants here today, and go from there. So um, I see many of you have already found the um, chat box over to it's on the right of my screen. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the right of your screen also, and I'll try to pay attention to the questions as you go by, and and I will see if I can answer them without really screwing it up for you. So that would be my goal. So let's get started here. Let's start looking at our PowerPoint here and start looking at some of these great new plants that we're going to have in 2021. So let's start with shrubs here. Uh, as always with shrubs, it's going to be a big year in 2021, and as uh, as we know, the shrub of choice seems to be hydrangea, hydrangea all the time, hydrangea, and this year is going to be no exception. Uh, a lot of people look at it and say, "Oh my God, are we just going to be exclusively selling hydrangea from now on?" But there's a lot of great research going on, as you'll see as we go through these things. So we'll warm up first without just jumping into those hydrangea. But let's start the show here. So these are alphabetical, pretty easy to see that. Uh, Aronia Ground Hug. You may see it out there as groundhog in some websites. That name has had to be altered for trademark issues. Seems to be the constant thing that happens with some of these new plants that you never really know till the end here. But it's Aronia Ground Hug. These are plants along with Aronia Lowscape Mound and Lowscape Hedger. These are plants that originated at the University of Connecticut. And this one is kind of the lowest profile of the bunch. This is actually really a great ground cover. And it's a shrubby ground cover, which there's many on the market, as we know, but it is more unusual to have a ground cover that's actually really a shrub like this. And I would tell you, it adds a lot of different things to the landscape. My my thought on it is that Aronia, no one really prizes Aronia for their bloom, but all of these Yukon Aronia, of the three that I mentioned, are really prolific bloomers, and actually the flowers hang around for a long time. Now, as you can see, they're small white flowers, but when you put them together, it's really almost a cloud-like appearance. Now, this is, of course, more of a ground fog type of cloud look of it, but impressive in bloom. You can see there's a dark purple fruit, great fall color, like all Aronia. They have a really noticeable crimson red fall color. Really one of its best traits of any Aronia, and they're tough. Zone 3 hardy. They do well. They'll thrive in moist areas, but they also are excellent for most areas of the landscape, like sun. This is really a great plant and a possibility for all you guys that are doing landscape out there that it's a really a great mass planting sort of plant. A little bit off the beaten path, if you will, because a lot of people are not obviously using Aronias as ground covers. But this is a great plant and nearly bulletproof, to be honest with you. So that is Aronia Ground Hug, and it is one of the many new proven winners color choice plants that you'll see on this slideshow. So barberry is an interesting one. Of course, all of you guys that have been in the industry for a while know that barberry in the old days a really great selling plant, and of course, as we know, listen, a lot of it was, well, it did well in the landscape. There were issues with it. Many of them were invasive, and we all know that for a fact. We can see many of the offspring of some of these plants that are kind of understory plants in the woods, all bad stuff. But as with all things, you really, when something bad happens, usually something good comes out of it in the plant world. And our worry-free barberries here, again, um, bred at the University of Connecticut. I know that Crimson Cutie, many of you have been buying that in states where you can legally sell it. New York there's been huge demand for it in New York. But these are the next group coming out. The first one on screen here is Lemon Cutie. And this is a very compact, dense, slow growing one. A brilliant yellow foliage and perfect for small areas. Definitely perfect for small areas. Certified sterile for sure. A plant that I would say that we're going to have really a smaller amount of this year. I would say that 2022 we will be it'll be hitting it hard here. This one and the next one I'll show you, but love the foliage color and the form on this, and this is a great plant for growing in containers. I would say that it's best for a half to a full day of sun in our area and in the northern area. Um, I see Tierney asking about deer resistance. Yes, if you're asking about the barberry, it's definitely deer resistant. Um, but really good kind of accent plant. So this is Berberis worry-free lemon cutie. Lemon cutie. I see a question from Kara. Is groundhog renamed groundhug? They are not different plants. It is renamed. In case you didn't hear that, that groundhug is now the accepted name and the trademark name for that aronia. So thanks, Kara. Uh, so this is the larger cousin of lemon cutie. This is Berberis lemon glow. Definitely a little bit wider, a little bit quicker growing, but still dense and full. Still the great yellow foliage. Still certified. Definitely seed free and sterile. Again, great color in the landscape. Uh, this is one that you'll find will occupy a little bit larger place, but it's not so large that you couldn't use it in a container. Again, some people look at barberry and say, you know, but barberry fills a great niche in the landscape. We are working hard with our group, our synergy group, the growers from us, Pride's Corner, Over the Best Nursery, Willoway Nursery, Saunders Brothers Nursery, and Sheridan Nursery in Canada. But the U.S. guys are working hard to get these so that they can be sold in states that currently do not sell them. Again, they fill a niche and they are definitely certified seed free. So we're working that angle, and these are still great plants. They may not be like the days when barberry was maybe the like hydrangea was to a certain extent. We sold a lot of barberry in the old days, but these are still useful plants that have a great place in the landscape and fill a need out there. So this is Berberis worry-free lemon glow. Now you're gonna see in this mix some plants that we're really excited about. These are new proprietary plants that will be appearing in our um, in our American Beauties Native Plants program. We've worked hard on this program. Many of you know that Pride's Corner is one of the owners of American Beauties Native Plants, and we've been along with the co-owner of North Creek Nursery down in outside of Philadelphia. We've worked hard to really get this program going, and 15 years, which we've been in it, is a long time. And as we know, and as a lot of you guys know that are selling native plants, when you first started doing this, it was like, eh, you know, customers, consumers were not that on it, but now consumers, the the idea of native plants and what the consumer wants have met, and there is really, really a lot of synergy. I'm sorry, I knew as soon as that was coming out there was kind of a pun on the synergy group, but there is a lot of synergy between customers and the whole idea of native plants helping out native animals, native butterflies, and native bees, and really trying to make that native plant friendly oasis in the in basically everybody's landscape. So this new plant is Cephalanthus Red Moon Rising, and what we love about it, and you can see this feature right off, is the really strong red fruit color, and of course the fruit is this is obviously the fruit from the flower, very multi-purpose. Um, it's a great pollen source. It's a great seed source for birds. Obviously, the plant being a sizable plant is uh, is wonderful for native bird cover. This is really a great all-around plant, and a lot of Cephalanthus are. But the fall color on this plant is also amazing. I was out there walking in our field, and we're growing 4 or 5 varieties of Cephalanthus right now, and quite honestly, even 5 years ago, for us to say we're growing 4 or 5 varieties of Cephalanthus would have been just kind of unthinkable. But that's the place that a plant this genus has started to take in the landscape. What's great about this plant is it loves moisture, so it's great for a moist area. It's a large growing plant, not the biggest of all the Cephalanthus we grow, but it's a sizable plant. I see people asking about sun or shade. It will grow in full sun. It will grow in partial shade. It needs probably 4 to 6 hours of direct sun to function perfectly and to look at its best. But it really is a multi-purpose plant out there. Deer resistant. It's not a plant that deer are seeking out, so it has some deer resistance. But this is really a great plant, and it is one of the new exclusive plants. Won't be ready for the first of spring pre-books for us, although we may be able to send a few out. But in that June window moving forward, these plants are going to be available at Pride's Corner Farm, and they'll be available at some of the other American Beauties native plant growers like Saunders Brothers and Willoway Nurseries. So just keep your eye out on this, but we're really excited about this, and I'll show you a couple of the other ones as we go along, but this is Cephalanthus Red Moon Rising. Oh, right, back to back here. Deerville Lanistera Ruby Wren. This is uh, this is another one of the second of the 4 plants we are introducing as exclusive plants in the American Beauties Native Plant Program. Uh, deer villa is an interesting plant. There's been deer villas out there for a long time. We've grown a few of them, and they've been kind of a minor thing on the East Coast. A larger, really a more important plant in the landscape in the Midwest. But there's really there's no reason whatsoever these plants shouldn't be great plants for the northeastern landscape. They're exceedingly hardy. They really look great. They look great when the new foliage comes out. You can see um, that reddish tinge to that new foliage on the second half of that picture, really attractive. And the yellow flowers, while small, are there's many of them. They look great. They look good against the foliage, and they really are a bee native bee magnet. Um, Easy to take care of. This is the thing uh, why it's been such a great plant in the Midwest. It's indestructible. It's one of those plants like Rus grollo that people use in many situations in rough traffic island. But this is a plant that also has the finesse and the great look to be able to work in the home landscape. So we're really excited about this plant also. This is Deer Villa Lonicera ruby wren. Again, a nice dense form, perfect for massing in the landscape, and a great nectar source and seed source for native birds and butterflies. Uh, Really an excellent plant to look for in that same kind of late spring um, window. Well, let's move to hibiscus. This is hibiscus French Cabaret Red. This is a plant that's grown on me, to be honest with you. I've never been a really huge fan of double flowered shrub hibiscus, but this one, the reason I really like this one is because not only is the form nice and upright, which makes it a little bit different than some of the sprawling hibiscus syriacus that you may be used to out there, but the flower power on this is amazing. I mean, this started blooming for us here at Pride's Corner. I believe it was probably the somewhere around the fourth week of July, and this still had really nice looking bloom on it in the beginning of October. There's no doubt that some bloom went by, but there were still great looking flowers out there. Had an extremely long flowering period. The flowers aren't huge, but they're noticeable. That dark red color is uh, is really pretty and different from what you're going to see out there. And quite honestly, I love the color of it in the bud. It'd be even nicer, I suppose, if that deep color that you're seeing in the bud on that stayed. But the color is considerably dark, and I just like this plant. I was sort of prepared to, as I told you, not to like this, but this is a good, um, easy to use plant. Uh, you can use it as maybe more of a narrow, upright type of border planting if you prefer. It's not super huge, but I always look at hibiscus syriacus heights and widths, heights especially, and say, I'm 5 to 8 feet. Maybe it's going to get taller than that, but uh, but again, the narrowness factor and the amount of color on this in the summer and into fall really makes this a winner. So this is in the first editions program, and it's hibiscus syriacus French Cabaret Red. Well, this is our intro to what I would call the hydrangea section here, and I really love this plant. This is the third of our four exclusive new American Beauty's native plants, and this is Hydrangea arborescens pinky pollen ring, and I I like it for a lot of reasons. As many of you know, for with native plants, hydrangea hydrangea arborescens are sort of like the native hydrangea in our area, and this flower form that you're seeing on screen, this sort of lace capish or mixed type of flower form, has really disappeared from the white. Um, because people like Annabelle, man. Annabelle, Incredible, or sort of like I mean, these are like the plants right now when you're dealing with arborescens. But there's a place for these plants in here for a couple reasons. One, that pink color is very nice, and it's got a mixture of the sterile, the flowers in the center that you see in that flower there, and the sterile florets on the outside. Um, the the strong upright stems are great. It's extremely floriferous. any of you that have an arborescens, an old style arborescens like this that has a lot of the fertile flowers, the small fertile flowers in the center, will know from your landscapes that this is a must stop for any pollinator that's in the neighborhood. They love these kinds of flowers, and this is really the big thing that you're going to see with this plant in your customers' landscapes. They will rave at the amount of pollinators that show up, whether it's native bees, native butterflies. It will definitely show up for those fertile flowers there. Like all arborescens, pretty easy to grow. Uh, the great thing about this plant is, unlike some of the original arborescens, this has got great stem strength. So a rain, a heavy wind, the flowers are still going to stand upright, which is very important for that great look in the landscape. Like all arborescens, they'll tolerate a half a day of shade without any issues. So half day sun, half day shade. Very rewarding plant right here. I see Tom asking, how is this different than Haas Halo? Uh, what's different about it is the pink color. I think the strength of the stems and the little bit slightly different flower form. Similar but slightly different. But I'm I'm really fired up about this plant. This is Hydrangea arborescens pinky pollen ring. Hydrangea macrophylla azure skies. Well, it's sort of interesting in looking at the reblooming hydrangea world out there. Uh, Obviously, the original hydrangea endless summer still dominates that particular market. Then, as many of us know, it's a very average plant. Um, I've got it growing in my yard. I know it's an average plant. It Some years doesn't really bloom that well. Well, I would say that 3 or 4 years out of six, it doesn't bloom well. Uh, the foliage color is kind of washed out. It's everybody has their disappointing story about endless summer, except for the fact that it sells like crazy still. It still does. I mean, there's tons of better plants that have come out, and endless summer still outsells them all. But the great thing is there's many opportunities for garden centers and landscapers to sell up, to get better plants that are out there that really rebloom better and also have better color, better foliage color, better form. There's all kinds of opportunity out there. So Hydrangea Azure Skies is one of those. And this is a Michael Durr selection. We've worked closely with Dr. Durr on this, and you'll see that many of the synergy growers will also be growing this plant. What we like about it is this is a little bit larger profile plant. It's a little beefier. It's 5 to 6 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide. It really reblooms well, you know. And what that really means out there is that unlike endless summer, which needs to have a number of internodes before it will set a flower bud, all these newer, uh, heavier reblooming types of macrophyllas are all really bloom on much shorter internode lengths. So you might need just one or two internodes and it'll set a bud. That's perfect because you always get the old bloom that comes out first, and then on the new growth, you're able to immediately follow that up with more buds that come out. So Azure Skies is one of those that does that well. They're big mop head flowers. They're really kind of that medium blue. They're sort of close to that what we call New England blue, where everyone from the outside goes to the beach and says, "Oh, look at that blue! How come I can't get that at my house?" Well, these are these will give you that blue. Of course, acidifying your soil, as always, will help with that. A great cut flower. Zone 5 hardy. There hasn't been, I believe, any testing further on this, or not complete testing on its cold hardiness. But we're excited about this plant. Now, for you guys pre-booking, you may not have seen this on our pre-book form. We have some of these, a limited number, and we are you're going to see this notation throughout that these plants are available exclusively for our Handpicked for You program participants. And I know your sales teams have talked to you extensively about Handpicked for You. This is a program that we feel is going to make it easier for your customers to know that these are great plants. And this is uh, this is a plant that I think is going to be a great plant, and we are making sure that we're releasing this first to our participants in that program. So if you have some interest in these and a few of the other plants that you see here, talk to your sales team because they'll be happy to tell you more about the Handpicked for You program and how it might be a great fit for you. Uh, for those who don't participate, if we have plants left over, once our Handpicked for You program participants get their plants, then we'll probably have them available, and certainly we'll have more available next year. But I just wanted to explain that to you guys, that notation. So this is Hydrangea macrophylla azure skies. So Proven Winners is also looking extensively at reblooming hydrangeas. Makes perfect sense. It's sort of the holy grail for hydrangeas and macrophylla types. So let's take a look at one of their new introductions, which is Let's Dance Big Band. So again, these you look at the foliage color, really dense and really dark green. Compact plant. This is really a one of, if you, it's probably half the size of azure skies. So very nice. Um, it's supposed to be a little bit more cold hardy, but they're zone at zone 5. I'm not sure whether that will change. Uh, Lots of colorful flowers. Again, improved reblooming. This has to do again with the internodes needed until flower set. Uh, you can see a bunch of different colors on there. I would tell you that in most of our areas here in the Northeast, um, you're going to see that darker purple color in the acid soils around here. You probably have more of that pinky reddish color in an alkaline soil in the Midwest or towards as you get towards the Great Lakes. But again, improved reblooming. That's probably what you'll hear throughout this when you see some of these new macrophyllas. But we're kind of excited about this plant. We feel that this next generation of Let's Dance, you'll see if you look at our selection on our order form, that a lot of the old Let's Dance series plants are gone. Uh, we've got this next generation of stuff, and Proven Winners, to their credit, has said, "Listen, we started off with these plants that at the time were state of the art, but they're just really not good anymore. Not good enough for them to get the Proven Winners name. So they've actually discontinued those plants. They're not being grown, and growers are phasing out of them to get these better plants. That's a great story, which for a brand that really is becoming so important out there at the garden center, that they're really trying to upgrade the plants. And this is the case with Let's Dance Big Band. Big Band. Okay, Hydrangea macrophylla rock and roll. This is another Michael Durr selection, and if you think back to Twist and Shout, um, this is kind of that name kind of fits, doesn't it? But so the reason that it fits even better is this is actually a sport found in Connecticut of all places, uh, that that was found on Twist and Shout, and even better, it's a mop head type of flower. Uh, as all of you know, Twist and Shout is a lace cap. It's a very tough, hardy plant. In fact, I believe they say it's a Zone 4 plant. This one currently has Zone 5 designation. But this is a sport from Twist and Shout. May actually end up testing out that it's Zone 4 eventually. But what is great about this plant, it's a much more compact version of Twist and Shout. As we all know, Twist and Shout can get a little bit leggy. There's no doubt about it. It can get a little bit leggy. This one is more compact, still has some of the great features of Twist and Shout, though. Uh, very dark foliage, reddish stems. Uh, this is a really full plant. You can see the size of those mop head flowers are quite large. Um, Mix of deep pink, purple, and blue. I think a lot of that again depends on the soil acidity in your area, but this is a plant that is has a great amount of improvements over Twist and Shout. So again, this is uh, exclusive for our hand-picked for you participants in the beginning here. We will be growing a lot of this plant moving forward. I know it, but this is a great plant that you guys that are in the Handpick for You program uh, can really capitalize on in the beginning. So this is Hydrangea macrophylla rock and roll. Okay, so you know we laugh sometimes going to the Proven Winners Gold Key meetings about what was in the Kool-Aid when people were naming some of these plants, and quite honestly, this is one of those names. So this is Hydrangea macrophylla wee bit giddy. I uh, I don't want to comment further on that, but I do want to comment on these plants and to compare them to the City Line series, which is currently part of the Proven Winners lineup. Now, City Line's been very successful out there. They've sold a lot of plants, and they are and a lot of it's because they've been compact, dense plants, really compact. And they sort of, when they bloom, they look like a florist quality hydrangea. There's something to that. But what we've found, and what Proven Winners has found, is that the possibility of getting good rebloom in the landscape is really difficult with these plants. Getting the flower buds to live through the winter is really difficult. So it's sort of like one of those old style hydrangea that we sold for years, that you get great plants, it would die to the ground in the winter, you get great growth on it, and customers would be continuing to come in and say, oh, this never blooms for me. What am I doing wrong? And of course, they're not really doing anything wrong, except for that the flower buds are not that hardy. This is different in this group of plants. The Wee Bit series has the attributes of a city line. In other words, that thick corrugated foliage, that dense form, and those florist quality flowers. But they actually have flower buds that are hardy, and they actually have some reblooming uh, uh, opportunity for the plants. So all things that make them so much better than the City Line series. And this is another one of the plants the guys from Proven Winners are looking at and saying, these are just much better than the City Lines, and we got to start phasing out the City Line series. And this is what is going to happen. So be the first on your block, really, to have the improved City Line series, which is this Wee Bit series. This is Wee Bit Giddy, more of a red to purple flower. There's another one coming along here in just another slide or two, but you're really going to like the difference, and so are your customers. Oh, there it is, Wee Bit Grumpy, another wonderful name. I'll leave it at that. But look at that color. That really stands out. Again, that dense, full form, that much more hardy flower bud, which means that there's going to be a lot more ability to get flowers in the landscape from the overwintering stems, and that there's a reblooming aspect to this. So I really love that color. And I really think that there's a lot going on that makes it important for you guys to look at this Wee Bit Hydrangea series. So this is Wee Bit Grumpy. And another introduction into the Let's Dance series. So uh, look at that double flower. That's really an interesting thing. We've seen some of these in some of uh, the Let's Dance series already, but this is a unique flower form. I love those double florets. That color is kind of unique, also, isn't it? Um, and it's just an incredibly quick rebloomer. It just this is one of these plants that is just going to be in color all year once it starts blooming. And the great thing is that it doesn't really it has this tendency to bloom lower in the plant and bloom higher in the plant. So there's different levels of bloom in these plants. I kind of like that. I love the continuous bloom. Zone 5 hardy, a little bit larger, but I think I think this is really going to be a great plant in the selection here. Again, another improved plant over many of the other Let's Dance, the older Let's Dance series. So this is Let's Dance Can Do. Now, everything else that we've talked about on hydrangea is a little bit of a prelim for these next three plants. Now, these are the big intros that are happening at for proven winners this year, and there's three of them, and they are not macrophyllus, as you can see. They're paniculatas. So let's talk about the reasons behind this. There's loads of great paniculatas out there. Everybody loves paniculatas. I think actually they're becoming more popular even than the macrophyllus for many reasons. They're easier to grow, they're hardier, they're more dependable in bloom. Uh, there's just a lot of great reasons out there that people go for paniculatas, and and of course they've always been big plants, but they've been downsizing them, making them almost more like floral plants, if you will, as they've been breeding. So that all figures into what's going on here. This first plant is Hydrangea paniculata firelight tidbit. Now, what I would tell you is, if I'm looking at this plant, I am thinking that this is well, let's say this is a hydrangea bobo type. So in other words, very dense and full, loads of bloom on it. You know, it, in that small form, it fills up with bloom. But as we know, what bobo doesn't do is that the flowers just sort of turn brown when they age. It's one of the worst aspects of a great plant, because bobo is a great plant, but this plant has that color like hydrangea firelight does, that really striking deep pink to almost red color as the flower ages. So you combine that great color of what firelight provides into the form of what bobo provides, and you have firelight tidbit. I'm I think this plant is going to sell like crazy for the floriferousness of it, for the aging of the flowers that go through at, as the season goes on, that change of color, and of course the size of the plant. That compact nature makes it so that it can be used in any place along the foundation, a small area, even a container if you thought so, or even a small barrier planting or hedge planting. Like all paniculatas, they'll do well in a half a day sun, half a day shade, but this plant is going to be on fire. And you guys got to have this plant. We went big on this plant because we think it's going to be great. We went big on all these three new paniculatas from proven winners. But this is the first one, Hydrangea Firelight Tidbit. Now, how about Hydrangea Paniculata Limelight Prime? So as many of you guys are going to say, well, hey, why ruin a good thing? I mean, we sell so many Limelight. People come in and ask for Limelight light by name. How much better can you get? Well, you can get better. And this plant's going to be huge. And the reason is twofold. It's a more compact plant than the regular limelight. Regular limelight gets huge. It just is. I mean, it's great. It blooms well. The stems are okay for stiffness. They're not the best one on the market, but they really limelight's a great plant. It is really it's the baseline plant for paniculatas now. We sell lots of them, but we're really excited about this one because of the size of the plant. Two, because it blooms earlier, another exciting thing, so that you have more sell time in the market. And three, the stronger stems. This plant does not have those stems that bend over uh, can happen on limelight with those big flowers. And you can see the flowers here are pretty significant. So that stem has to be pretty thick to stand up. But the fourth thing we like, just think about what the foliage on limelight looks like. It's okay. It's it's sort of it's sort of limey green. It's not the most attractive thing in the world, but Limelight Prime, you have deep, dense, dark foliage. Again, a huge improvement. So you got four great new things going on with Hydrangea Limelight Prime here. Another plant that I think that you have to have at your nursery, your garden center, that people are going to love for the right reasons, and so is your team. That's what's great about this. Your team can get excited about these improvements that are going on out there because let's face it, everybody in our industry wants better plants, and these are definitely better plants that people can get excited about. So this is Hydrangea paniculata Limelight Prime. And the third of these great new proven winners hydrangea that have come on the market this year is Hydrangea paniculata Quickfire Fab. Now, Quickfire has filled a great niche for garden centers and for us. It blooms early. Uh, the old uh, the old hydrangea Quickfire was by far the earliest blooming paniculata on the market. We liked it for that. Uh, but there were some issues with the plant. The flowers aged okay, but it's one of those plants that didn't have that full kind of snow cone type of flower. It was sort of mixed flower, and in a lot of ways, customers uh, didn't really like that as much. But as you can see from Quickfire Fab, this has got the big, full, huge flowers that this plant will bear. It's exceedingly early bloom again. We love that part about it. Um, and the flowers are kind of a unique X shape to them if you look closely, but the stems are extremely sturdy on this. And look at that aging color like that. So early bloom, stiff stems, better foliage, better flower form, and better coloration as it aged. Now, this is the biggest of the plants. You can see 6 to 8 by 5 to 6. That's a sizable plant, but boy, it's got a lot going for it. And this is, again, one of those season stretchers for you at the garden centers. We like this plant a lot. This is Hydrangea paniculata Quickfire Fab, one of the big three of the new Hydrangea paniculatas that are being introduced into proven winners this year. Oh, this is the fourth of our exclusive American Beauty's native plants introductions, and this is called Itea Fountains of Rouge. Um, so, what makes it better? Hey, look at that flower. Look at the flower length over there. Long panicles of bloom. We know uh, the Itea flower is a great attractor of pollinators. We like that part of it. This is really a fairly compact one, not the most compact in the world, but fairly compact. We like that. Iteas are pretty easy to grow, as we know. They fill a great niche in the landscape, and the reason they fill a great niche is not only just because of its pollinator aspect, but the fall color. And the great thing about this fall color is that we feel that it's far better than Itea Little Henry and Henry's Garnet. Much more powerful of a much more powerful color, longer lasting color. We're excited about this plant, as we are with all four of the new introductions. You will again see this plant available starting in June, more than likely from us. But this is Itea Virginica Fountains of Rouge. And again, you guys may be buying from other American Beauties native plant producers like Saunders Brothers or like Willoway Nurseries. They will have these plants also. So ask them. So this is Itea Fountains of Rouge. Well, this one's a little bit off the edge here, but we've had this plant for a while. This is Lonicera Thunderbolt. I thought it was so underused that I thought it was important to show this plant to people. We've been selling it for probably a year and a half now, but it kind of went under the radar screen for us. The great textured plant, great color. The chartreuse foliage holds forever. It comes out even brighter when it flushes, but it doesn't really fade out, so that like a lot of those chartreuse plants that kind of become a kind of an ugly green at a particular point. This one does not. This is eminently prunable, a perfect, easy to grow plant. It seems nearly indestructible. We've had a couple in the landscape here that have performed well. They grow fairly quickly. You can prune them easily, and you know it's got that same texture as a boxwood, slightly different form, but I think you're going to love this plant. Is it evergreen? It is evergreen. It was so you have that color throughout your landscape. Yep, it's really a good plant. Um, Again, it can be trimmed up, but its natural form is kind of a little bit of a cascading sort of spreading plant, but very attractive. Lonicera Thunderbolt, and this is in the Bloomin' Easy program with a lot of excellent plants in that program also. A new introduction from proven winners this year is Pyrus japonica interstella. Uh, the things that stand out about this plant, well, one, it's one of the few broadleaf plants that's in proven winners, so they're really extending into other areas here. We like to see that. We're big broadleaf plant producers. What we like about it, the deep red flowers on it. They're really showy. We like that. The the new foliage flush is nice. It's not as deep as a couple of those out there, but that we know about that we've grown in the past. It's not mountain fire, but it's pretty attractive, to be honest with you. And in combination with that long-lasting flower, and like all Pyrus, great in the shade, deer resistant, pretty easy to grow. We really like this plant. So we're starting off fairly small with this, but we think that there's great promise with this plant. So this is Pyrus japonica interstella. Well, there's always got to be some roses on the new plant selection. Come on. So many of you may have heard of the Brindabelo roses, but they haven't really made a big impression on the market. And we kind of tried one. We tried Purple Prince last year, mainly because the flower was so deep and so purple. I just really hadn't seen that flower out there before. And so we grew a few hundred, and we said, let's see what it does. And so, you know, I I'm the person in charge of our rose program around here, so I have a tendency to have to go out and walk a lot of roses, especially during the spring months. And so I was walking through this one covered house. We do keep our roses covered for quite a while to prevent them from being damaged from, especially the kind of weather we had this early spring. But so I'm walking the house, and I'm up at one end of the house, and there's this incredible scent in this house. I'm saying, man, what is that scent? And I'm walking around, and there's a there's a bunch of knockouts in the house. Well, of course, they're not going to be knockouts. That's for sure. I'm walking, and all of a sudden, I come to this Brindabella rose, um, this purple prince, and the flowers are great. The plants were nice, but the aroma of that flower, the scent of that flower was beautiful and overpowering. And I said, wow, we I got to look and see about what the rest of a few of these Brindabellas are. So we brought on Red Empress and Pink Princess this year. Uh, these are kind of bushy plants. They're disease resistant. They're bushy, as I said. Good garden performance. I still haven't had a chance to plant anyone out here, but I'm excited to do that. But they're all own root, which means that they're going to be hardy. Zone 3 seems a little excessive to me. I can't really swear to that. That's what the website says. But what I will guarantee you is all of these roses, Purple Prince, Red Empress, Pink Princess, are going to have outstanding scent to them. And we know that's a rarity out there. So these two new Brindabella roses, I'm going to recommend just on that. Now, here's the big one. Well, it's kind of a can't say it's big, but this is the real intro in roses this year, and this is Petite Knockout. And many of you guys bought some of these from us this fall, and they were incredible. To be honest with you, they stayed in color forever. They are so dense, so full, foliage really dark green, and you're looking at that 15 to 18-inch high and wide. Um, spec, and you're saying, now that can't be true, but it is true. These are really compact. This is really a brand new class of roses and plants that are being bred to be grown in a container, to be honest with you. Not that they won't function well in the ground, but these things are kind of deck plants, and this is a great deck plant. Uh, like I said, that foliage is so deep dark green, and the flower selection. The flowers are small, but there's always flowers on it. Um, for people, there was a handful of people that came and toured here at the nursery this fall, and whenever we drove by that section of our farm for these two houses full of these plants, people said, "Hey, what is? Stop! I got to see what is that." and we'd walk through them. They said, "Wow, I just this is remarkable." And I agree. Petite Knockout is a remarkable plant, and a little bit different than the other knockouts in that they're not. I would say this is going to be more for those small spaces, small landscapes kind of thing, with great flower power and great containers. Yeah, I think you're going to love this plant. I think everybody that bought it from us this fall had great sell through on it. So I would definitely recommend this Rosa Petite Knockout. You're halfway there. People know knockouts and they've been great in the landscape. This is just the next generation right here. You're going to love this plant. Another blooming easy plant. This is Spiraea Pop Rocks Petite. So, whenever people sort of get when you start recommending spirea, sometimes people start, they start glazing over a little bit. Oh, another spirea. Who cares about spirea? Why would anybody? Blah blah blah. Well, spirea are an important plant for up north. They're an important plant for summer color, and there's been lots of improvements in spirea. Um, over the last decade or so. And we feel that this one is another one of those great improvements. This is a blooming easy plant, and it looks sort of like a little princess, and you could be you could be excused for mistaking it for that. But what the difference is with this plant is that it's much more compact form. uh, the flowers are deeper pink, and it really has a great form, and it's much smaller than Little Princess is going to be. So it's improved size, improved flower color, improved form. This is one of those blooming easy plants that's going to sneak up on you. We're kind of excited about this. I think that it's going to be an excellent plant for the landscape and a much smaller form, which is great for those small spaces and obviously hardy and easy to take care of. So this is Spiraea Pop Rocks Petite. Well, there's always got to be a lilac on there too, and everybody knows everybody's getting on the lilac train. This is a hyacinth flora type, the second hyacinth flora to come out from proven winners. Um, I we love hyacinth flora type lilacs. Now, a lot of people are partial to the vulgaris types, and there's great reason for that. The real problem is in this day and age that it's very undependable to get bloom on a plant that we're sending you, a 2-year-old lilac that's going to have flowers in your garden center. And that's really gotten to be the key to selling a lot of lilac is to have them have that flower in bloom at your garden center. Well, with this plant and many of the hyacinth flora, uh, you get that flower show, that very impressive flower show at a young age. Um, what we like about this plant is the the absolute number of flowers. It's a very prolific bloomer. The scent of the plant, they're extremely fragrant. We love that. Uh, Dense and compact, definitely. Deer resistant, definitely. Uh, Disease resistant, we like that too. And so you add all those together, you got a great package. And lilac, extremely hardy, as we know. Uh, Pride's Corner, one of our signature plants, is any lilac we grow. We take care of them for you in a very unique way, so that you get plants out there that are budded, ready to go, ready to sell, and out of the window of problems, which can happen with lilac if they're released too early. Now, a lot of you guys beat on us because of that, but we are stand tough on making sure that those lilacs have been treated well, are undercover, and are great to go and ready to sell for you. And this is another one of those plants. So, Syringa centara pura, either one, I suppose. But another great addition to the Proven Winners brand. Thuja Junior Giant. Well, we feel that this is going to be a groundbreaking plant uh, for us over the next 10 years. And we're working hard to get this plant up and going. What's so great about Junior Giant, you say? Well, every listen, we know right now that green giants sell like crazy, and junior giants are a plant that are at least one third smaller at maturity. So what does that mean? That means that you don't have to worry about them getting so out of control like green giant can do. They're still deer resistant, and they're much denser plants. Look at the picture of the plants on the right hand side. That is not a plant that's been pruned right there. And if you see a green giant like that in the landscape, you're going to see that it's obviously larger, a lot more open, a lot more airspace, that kind of thing. This form, this thickness, and the fact that it's a plicata with deer resistance is just a huge thing for this plant. Again, we're working like crazy to get the numbers up on this plant. We have some available this year. We're making them available exclusively in the beginning to our Handpicked for You program participants, but you're going to see a lot more of this plant out there. Uh, we are in in our future 2 years from now, we are expecting that we're going to have uh, closing in on 10,000 of these each year to sell, and that might not even be enough. So we're working hard here to get this plant out there that is going to fill a great landscape niche for you. But keep looking for this plant, Thuja plicata Junior Giant. Finally, for all you people, I know it's been an hour, and I apologize, waxing a little poetic on some of these great new shrubs out there, but I got to tell you, there's always great new perennials out there, and I feel that we have a selection. In fact, this is probably the harder one to narrow down the list to get these perennials on this slideshow. So I'm sure I left some great ones out. We're going to have, as always, close to 100 new perennials this year that we're bringing on. But I went through this and thought that these were the best of the best. So let's take a look. Well, who can not like a Brunera? I mean, as we know, there's lots of different Brunera out there, and it started out quite honestly as being, well, a good foliage plant that had neat little flowers. Now, what it has become over the past generation is a spectacular foliage plant that, okay, has some flowers. So really, the foliage has taken over as the main focus of this plant. And when you see the foliage on this plant, you can understand why. Uh, this the foliage. I've been so impressed by the foliage of this plant. Not only because the silverness, the unbroken silverness of this plant, but the huge size of this foliage. And of course, as we know, one of the great things about Brunera, it's a shade loving plant. how many things grow well in the shade. You know, that's all. Oh, we got hosta. You know, you got a couple other perennials that are kind of mainstays. But I think a lot of times we overlook Brunera and how impressive and how the space that it fills in a shade landscape. Yes, silverness is a word. I like that. Donna is kind of questioning my my language here. I kind of like silverness. Come on, if we can't make up great words because the adjectives out there don't describe the the color well. I might as well make up a word. So but great silver. Thanks, Donna, for pointing that out. But I love this plant, Bernera alexandria. Well, there's always seems to be some great new Coreopsis out there. We are partial to Daryl Probst's hibiscus or Coreopsis selections, and these are two new ones coming from his collection. This is Little Bang Goldilocks and Little Bang Riding Hood. So little bangs, as we know, if you've been getting a lot of Daryl Probst Coreopsis in the past, very dense, compact, perfect for massing, perfect for containers. Uh, it's one of the great things about it. But the overriding thing with Daryl Probst Coreopsis is the fact that they're far more disease resistant, so their foliage does not get, among other things, the mildew that a lot of the other coreopsis get. But the flowers are sterile. Now, why is that important? You may have heard me talk about this previously when we've talked about these types of talked about his coreopsis. But the real thing is that those sterile flowers mean that there's no energy going into creating seed, and that the flower show is nearly continuous throughout the summer. And that's proven by these two varieties, Goldilocks and Red Riding Hood. Again, in the Little Bang series, we it's amazing how many of these we sold this fall. We're we're probably we probably repotted late to make sure we had them for spring, but these things sold and they were color bombs. There's no doubt about it. So two new great Coreopsis, small form, Goldilocks, and Riding Hood. Now, this is a groundbreaking plant right here. These are the Delphinium delgenius series. They're just getting out there on the market right now, and if there's a perennial that we're really focused on moving forward, it's these delphinium. And why are we doing that? Because they actually grow. They're actually vigorous. They actually are a good production plant. They're actually an excellent landscape plant. And who could not like those flowers? Look at the amount of flower buds on those plants, and look at the size of the spikes. And yet the plants are more compact. These are not delphiniums that are 4 and 5 feet tall. These are 2 foot tall plants. So that compactness, the great foliage, and that amount of bloom that looks like a real delphinium is really important. Right now, 3 shades. There's a there's the as you can see, kind of a violet color almost, a pink color, and a lavender shade. Um, Again, these we have small numbers on these at this point. Um, that's why we've kind of made them exclusive again for our Handpick for You program participants. At least in the beginning, they'll get first whack at them. But we're going to be growing a lot more of these plants, and I think you'll see them out there from us. That's for sure. So we're all over this. I think that the Delphinium delgenius series, Breeze and Juliet and Shelby, are really going to be exciting. So uh, make sure you're on the lookout for these things. Wayne Mezit, old friend from Western Nursery, is asking a question. How does the Pyrus entostella differ from Valley Valentine? We found that the flowers are deeper, there's more of them, and that the foliage flush is better. And we have found that Valley Valentine tends to be tends to be a poorer production plant and has a tendency to be weaker in the landscape. All those things we think are better about Pyrus japonica interstella. So that's what we've seen so far. Let's see if it bears out, but we think that they're improved because of that, Wayne. On to more perennials. Um, let's face it, there's how many echinacea have come and gone over the last 10 years. It's We've been echinacea to death in a lot of ways, but there's still great new ones that are out there. Uh, this is Echinacea Artisan Red Ombre. I think I'm saying that correctly, and Soft Orange. Two new varieties that we have picked up that we love because the uniform form we think is amazing on this. The amount of flower power on this and the coloration on each of these things make these plants special. And you can see how compact these are. They're from seed also, which we have found um, is so important with a lot of the newer echinacea going forward. We love the great seed forms that have started to come out, and we are trying to focus on those as much as possible when they come out. So, and we find them to be more dependable in coming back in the landscape. Also, all great things about this plant. So this is red ombre, soft orange, and I think you're going to love these plants. Not that you haven't seen the colors out there before, not that you haven't seen some compact plants out there, uh, not that you haven't seen some echinacea that say they bloom all summer, but uh, but these are plants that throw it all together and come up with really the next level of new plant here. So we're excited about these echinacea, and I bet we're going to be doing plenty more of these. Syringium jade frost. Well, this plant's been out there for a while, and but for some reason, Ringium comes and goes at Pride's Corner Farm, and but this one has come back, and with good reason. I really like everything in Ringium. They have a they have a great they have a great niche in the landscape, especially in beach areas and sandier soils, kind of thing. And so we have plenty of those around or close by or regional to our nursery. But Thuringium jade frost, good foliage. The variegation is great. What but what I really love about this is that the temperature changes in color when it's cool. That variegated edge is a beautiful pink color. Really jumps in the landscape. Uh, I'm partial to any Aringium. I'm sorry to say that, but I don't think you'd be disappointed. If you've already grown this plant, you know that it's a great plant to grow. If you haven't grown this plant, you should give it a try. It's it's hardy to zone 5. It loves sandy soils. It'll thrive in sandy soils, and I think it has a lot going for it. Great for massing and a good color plant without having loads of flower color, but it does have great violet blue flowers. But the thing of it is that this is a plant that has color all year round in the landscape. That's why I love it with that foliage. So this is Aringium jade frost. Well, in our worry-free line of plants, much like our sterile barberry are in there, we have these sterile um, pennisetums. And we like these plants. They're great form. Uh, they're a good addition to all the pennisetums that are out there. You can see Kane. It's got that big flower, that deep dark red color, and with a tufi. What kind of a name is that? A tufi. But maybe I should know better. But a tufi is an interesting name. But look at that flower. I love that kind of pastel, really different texture from the KN. But these are both great additions to our worry-free program. Uh, again, in areas especially south of here where pennisetum have a tendency to reseed all over the place, you'll never get this problem like that. Along with, as you know, some of some of the miscanthus that happens with. We have also the sterile miscanthus in our worry-free program, but these are great landscape plants and they fill a need. So these are two great new Pennisetum that we're growing in the worry-free program. Well, iris are a specialty here. Iris is one of the plants we love to grow. It's difficult to grow. We uh, we work hard at it. It always seems that there's less and less people growing Iris germanica. They're a handful. They're they're disease prone container. You have to treat them correctly before you plant them. There's an insect that really can devastate these plants, especially in a growing location like ours. But we love Iris germanica, and we always seem to have new varieties. Now, some of it, to be quite honest with you, is because the growers of the inputs for our plants seem to have trouble being consistent in the field growing some of these varieties that maybe we'd like to keep forever. Some they're good at, but some, we get a variety that we like and then all of a sudden it's gone and we have to get a sub for a color or a form. But what we always look for in Iris germanica is reblooming. That's very important to us. All our Iris germanica are reblooming types, and we always look for show. And and we grow great Iris germanica. You people that have purchased them from us before know that it really is a signature perennial that we always sell out of. Here are 7 great new colors and forms to look at. I I uh, I definitely encourage you to look at our selection and pre-book these plants, because while they won't completely pre-book, we always run out of Iris germanica quickly, and with good reason. It's there's no better plant in the landscape. So, new Iris germanica concertina, Cordoba, Gypsy Lord, His Royal Highness, Invitation, Pleasant Peasant, another great name. Um, well, this is a plant that maybe you've already grown, but this is a striking plant that we've included um, in our American Beauties native plant collection. As many of you know, this is a plant that originated in Mount Cuba, just outside of Philadelphia, and that is not that foliage that you're seeing is not Photoshop trickery. That is the actual foliage color, especially early in the season, and especially in moisture. And and you can see that those plants growing there have ample moisture. How many plants that you know are going to do that in that sort of condition? But Iris versicolor purple flame will, and it'll give you that incredible added bonus of that striking purple foliage, especially earlier in the season. The flowers are great. It blooms consistently. You can see the flower on the right, but this plant massing in rain garden areas, massing in real wet areas along a water garden. This has such an opportunity to be a great show. We are. I've said this a lot, but this is a great plant that should excite everybody that loves great new plants. So this is Iris Versicolor Purple Flame. It is in our American Beauties Native Plants program, and you've got to grow that plant. Got a couple of new lavenders here. This is Lavender Imperial Gem. This is a great new top performing plant that in trials around here. That's why we're so excited about it. That and the cold hardiness. It's supposed to be a zone 4 lavender. Now, there's not there's no other lavenders out there that you can say that about. And so a zone 4 lavender, pretty impressive. We are just starting our first steps into this plant. Um, Again, another exclusive in the beginning for our Handpicked for You program participants. But it's supposed to be free flowering. We've had trials of this before. It's been pretty impressive in the trials that we did up in our perennial area. Uh, Pretty easy to grow production wise, lots of bloom. But that zone 4 hardiness, man, that's something that that a lot of people are really going to be excited about. Now, of course, like any lavender, they're hardy to their zone, but they need to have a really well drained area. So you really need to make sure that your customers are aware of that. They really like sandier soils. They hate wet feet in the wintertime, and that's some of the issue that you'll probably have with anybody who's growing lavender. But people can't resist lavender, can they? They really love to grow them. Well, let's get them a better plant maybe that might survive further north and really grows in the landscape. So uh, Lavendula Imperial Gem, we think this is going to be a good one. Now, this next plant, Lavender Sensational, is going to be a plant that you're going to see out there everywhere, and people are going to buy it like crazy. And people can't control themselves, as we just said earlier around lavender. But this is the close relative of lavender phenomenal, which of course many of you guys know. Phenomenal in the stretch of about 3 or 4 short years has become really in a lot of ways the as as prolific of a seller as some of those old time varieties like Kid Coat and uh, and it just sells like crazy. Big plant, as we know, phenomenal is a huge plant, really much bigger scale plant. But what I like about this is look at the flower size on those plants. This is really a much showier bloom. I love that silver foliage that you can see on the right hand side there. It's a pretty heat tolerant, zone 5 it says, great scent, but again, same breeder as Lavender Phenomenal and an improvement. And we're betting big on this plant. There's no doubt about it. I think your customers will think it's uh, not to sound like a used car salesman, but I think your customers will probably think it's sensational too. And you really need to pick up this plant. So lavender sensational, big flowers, gray foliage, um, really good in heat, and great scent to it. I think this is going to be a big plant for 2021. Leucanthemum. Well, these three introductions, Banana Cream 2, Marshmallow, and Spun Silk, are three new introductions in the Proven Winners program. They've been we until this year where no one could travel always would make a pilgrimage out to Walters, who's the lead grower for Proven Winners perennials, always to see what was going on in their test gardens. And we have seen over the last 3 or 4 years multiple versions of different leucanthemum out there. And what they're looking for is compactness, uh, flowers that age well, um, and and also floriferousness, and slightly different forms. And you can see with all of these particular forms, these varieties here, these three varieties, they're all dense, compact plants. There's nothing like some of these 3 and 4 foot ones that are really big, really huge, overtake an area. These are compact plants that I think that we've seen out there in the test gardens that we've kind of fallen in love with because we love the form on them, and different flower forms also. Banana cream. I know you've been familiar with the old banana cream. This one's a little bit tighter habit. It blooms earlier. It's more floriferous, and it's still got that yellowish, that lemon yellow color when it comes out. They age more to white. There's no doubt about it. But that color differential, that subtle difference, really shows up in the garden. Marshmallow. Uh, a good double flower. It's easy to be disappointed by double flowers in leucanthemum. They a lot of times they brown quickly. They don't hold up well, and in a lot of the older varieties, they're kind of sporadic bloomers. You'll find that all of these are improved with marshmallow. Big flowers, 3.5 inch diameter, still have a nice yellow defined center, um, but a great plant habit, very floriferous. Uh, yeah, it's going to be the best by far double flowering leucanthemum on the market. And finally, you see spun silk over there, just another different take on leucanthemum. It almost looks like a spider mum. It looks like what you see a lot of times in the fall with that kind of long, thin petal, different texture in the garden. Obviously, incredibly floriferous. A little bit different angle to where the way the petals are held, but really that texture and that floriferousness all on a dense, compact form are going to make people really love this plant. So I really think that these are great, three great new additions to the Proven Winners program, and also to the leucanthemum selections available out there to you. So this is Banana Cream 2, Marshmallow, and Spun Silk. Well, there's always more phlox out there too, and with good reason. They're as we know, and as all you native plant enthusiasts know, uh, one of the best plants in the garden in the summertime to attract pollinators and to actually look great are phlox paniculatas. Now, these are more compact. The Kapow series is much more compact series, which makes them even better for the middle or even front of the landscape. Some interesting colors there, pink, as you can see, purple, and that white bicolor. Um, they are mildew resistant. They're zone 4 hardy, and what really distinguishes this plant is the shortness and the floriferousness of this plant, and the fact that they will do just as well as all paniculata phlox will do. Some better than others, there's no doubt about it, but it'll be a great pollinator attractor in the garden. So this is the Phlox Kapow series, pink, purple, and white bicolor. Well, of course, as many of you know, we have sold volcano phlox for years. We It's really been our signature group of paniculatas over the years, and still extremely popular. Um, there's a new influx of breeding coming into this particular series of phlox. Also, like many other series of plants, there's a lot of improvement going on out there. The first two varieties to show that are Lipstick and Plum, two brand new selections that we are carrying this year. Again, the great thing about them, while they're not as small as the Kapows, they are definitely compact. They are incredibly floriferous, sturdy stems, disease resistance, and good fragrance on these flowers. So just added to our other volcano selection. This is volcano lipstick and volcano plum, and I can tell you that you're probably going to see more new releases in the coming years in volcano phlox. Sedum, always new sedum out there, and this Mojave Jewel series is another one that we are just getting into and reserving for our handpicked for you program participants. And there's all the holy grail, it seems, of sedums has been finding dark foliage sedums that actually hold up well in the landscape and look good by the time that they bloom. You know, there's been all kinds of dark flowered sedums that have been introduced over the years, and some of them have had been promising, and they either end up getting foliage edema, that really ugly looking blemish, that the disease that it gets on the foliage, or they flop, or they're they're supposed to be upright and they sort of look like a splayed thing that someone sat on in your garden. All bad things, but these are these are more upright sedums that have great dark foliage and will hold up in the landscape. So we have diamond, which has rosy pink flowers. We got ruby in the center that has a darker red flower, and we have sapphire on the right that has even the almost a black foliage to it, and a blood red flower to it. Uh, Again, stiffer stems on all of these. Um, and we're holding out the promise on these that they are better plants. They've tested well for us, and believe me, in my garden, I'll be excited if I can get this dark foliage with an upright stem to really look great when late summer arrives in our garden. The promise of Mojave Jewels is that, and and of course they're in a nice compact package also. Great pollinator attractor also. So Mojave Jewels, diamond, ruby, and sapphire. Well, we went through a lot of plants there, and of course, whenever you have, I said, oh, 40 slides. Come on, we'll go through that quickly. But it never seems to work that way, does it? You always end up talking about great plants, and so uh, we did that. If there's any other questions, I know I apologize that I probably was following them some, and I thank Allison. Uh, who works in the Pride's Corner as our brand manager at Pride's Corner. I appreciate her on there answering all these questions. Um, there are there is going to be posted. This webinar was recorded, obviously. Maybe you guys have some people in your company that didn't have the chance to come and look at this. It'll be recorded. It'll be available on our website. We'll send out a link to it in this week's availability that comes out on Friday. And also, I saw a couple people had some suggestions, but we really love your suggestions on further webinars that would be good for you guys that you'd really love to tune into. Now, it's easy to do new plants all the time. I mean, everybody wants to see new plants, don't they? But there's other things out there that I think we can bring to the table for you that we'd be happy to do. But give us your opinion. What would you like to see as a possible webinar moving forward? So we are happy to we're happy to entertain that. Always happy to get information out to you guys, answer questions, refer you to your sales teams for more information. But I really enjoyed the opportunity um, to talk to you guys about great new plants. Sorry we didn't talk about more. There's always more out there, believe me. And we have more also. You'll be able to, I believe that our Allison, is our new plant book posted on our website? I believe it is at this point. So you can go through and see even more of those new plants that maybe we didn't cover um, at this point. So go to our website, and just to uh, just to also fill you in on one more housekeeping detail, our website will be changing hopefully by late winter here. We're in the midst of a big land a website redo. We're really excited about the possibilities that it'll bring for you. We've always had a great and informative website, but the look is going to be better. There'll be more features on it, and more opportunity, I think, to interface with you guys and do more business to business on the website. So we're really fired up about that. We hope that as we get closer, we're going to send out to all of you um, a link to the website when it's ready to go. But we're working hard, and hopefully, it's going to be a great improvement for all of you. So it's been a great hour and a half. Thanks, everybody. All of us at Pride's Corner here wish you the best Thanksgiving going forward in a world that's a little crazy right now. It certainly will be a very different Thanksgiving for all of us. But let's do the best to make the best of it that we can. Uh, let's continue to be resilient. Let's continue to all stay healthy out there, and and continue to use those masks. I got plenty of them on my desk. You should too. But let's hope that as we head into 2021, that we have just as great of a selling season, but that some of the things that restrict our lives right now are going to be a thing of the past. So we look forward to talking more to you soon, and we look forward to everyone having a great 2021. Happy holidays, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.